You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back for another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, September is going by fast. Oh my goodness. It just seems like we were just talking about the beginning of September. Now it's getting closer to like that midpoint, closer to the end, I feel like. I mean, to be honest, I'm excited because Libra season is definitely coming. A good friend of mine was actually telling me that apparently fall begins October 22nd, which is the beginning of Libra season, which means that explains why fall is my favorite season personally. But also, like, I always mentally in my mind felt like fall started like right after Labor Day weekend, because to me, that's when you stop wearing white, technically. And that's when, like, I don't know, fall begins, school starts, everybody's back to school. Like, that's how my attitude always was. I always looked at like, spring happening. I mean, like I always aligned holidays alongside seasons. Like peak summer for me was 4th of July. I know to me, summer begins. I know people have their own calendar, but I'm just talking about my hood calendar. For me, summer begins at the end of Memorial Day weekend. Like Memorial Day weekend kicks off summer in my mental clock. I understand that summer is supposed to be late June. It to me starts at the end of Memorial Day. Memorial Day weekend kicks off the beginning of summer for me. When does I guess for me, summer is from Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day weekend. Fall is from Labor Day weekend to Thanksgiving. I believe that after Thanksgiving, that is winter in my book. Like winter begins after Thanksgiving because it's about to be December. It kicks off the holiday season, quote unquote. And then people say, well, when does summer begin? Well, spring begins for you. St. Patrick's Day weekend. So that's my calendar. My calendar is based on holidays. Now, this is completely wrong according to the Harvest calendar, whatever. But mentally, I put holidays with things. So when I think of like the luck of the Irish and the green and leprechauns and all of the clover leaves and stuff, that to me feels like spring. Very, very green, very, very springy, right? And Memorial Day weekend is a cookout. We don't have cookouts no time before Memorial Day weekend. So to me, technically, Memorial Day and everything that comes with all of the cookout is then. Peak summer is, of course, 4th of July, right? Like that's peak summer energy. But it's in the summer. And then fall after Labor Day, because after that, I mean, what other type of outdoor summery type of vibes are you having after Labor Day weekend? Like no one has anything after Labor Day weekend. Like September 4th, that September 4th time after Beyonce's birthday, that kicks off fall. Virgo season kicks off fall. At least, to some extent. I mean, Virgos are in August, so that late. But that's how I feel. And then after Thanksgiving, like nobody wants to see cornucopias and pumpkins after Thanksgiving. Like after Thanksgiving, like no one is talking about like Halloween. That's a fall holiday, right? Thanksgiving, that's a fall vibe. But after that, you don't want to see a pumpkin in December. No one is eating anything close to a pumpkin-esque vibe or pumpkin spice. I mean, sometimes pumpkin spice, apple, whatever. But like no one's really getting in that mood anymore. Winter is here. That's when you start seeing peninsulas and very beautiful flowers and Christmassy things and trees and pine and that. I mean, that kind of bleeds into summer, fall a little bit, but that being said, that's my calendar. So when people are talking about, oh my goodness, we're about to be at the end of the summer this week, I'm looking at them like, no, summer been over here. And for most of us, sweater weather is upon us, which is cute. Okay. I cannot wait to put on a cute boot again. Okay. I must say though, this summer was probably the best summer I've had in a long time. I feel like I really took advantage of summer. Like I was flip-flopping it. I was daddy shortsing it. But it's like, I mean, honestly, after this week, I mean, the shorts are going to probably fall away or fall back. It's back to, chinos and, I'm not really a khaki guy, but, khakis, sweaters, long sleeve shirts, loose flannels, giving them good fall vibe. So I love fall because fall is perfect to me. Fall isn't too hot and fall isn't too cold. Fall is just right. And you gotta, you can get stylish. Like there's summer fashion, but summer fashion is like just all about being cute. But fall, you gotta look like something in the fall. You gotta put some effort. I need thick coats. I want to bring back, cardigans. Like you gotta put some thought and texture, colors and different vibes. You gotta have flavor in the fall. There's a different level. There's layers to fall. That's what it is. There's levels to this. See, in the summer, you can get away with any little thing. You can put a little one piece on or whatever with some patterns, groundbreaking. And I'm talking about myself because I was that person. I had some cute button ups, I had my little florals. But like, I didn't have to put any effort in that. Fall, you got to put some thought into what you wear in the fall. You just can't throw anything on the fall and put a jewel on. You're going to have to really, coordinate. If you're trying to be fashionable, otherwise, whatever. But homecoming vibes, I'm thinking about homecomings. I'm thinking about all of these things. That's fall to me. Just good old times. Some mature cocktails in the fall too. I enjoy my summer cocktails, but some, fall get a little fun. Pomegranates. I'm thinking about pomegranates. I'm thinking about lush berries. I'm thinking about, those subtle citruses. Just love fall and love it. Libra season in full effect. So, I've been getting all into birthday vibes and moods and everything like that. But this weekend was good. I had a good weekend. I made fajitas. Okay. Soon to be Dr. Parks. Miss Amanda came over. We had a nice little Saturday together. We went to go see The Woman King, which I'll be talking about more later in this episode. But we went to go see Woman King. I finally got to cook. Like Mr. Johnson and I have been having this every alternate Sunday cooking competition. That's not really a competition because we both eat and win at the end of the day. But it's like every alternate Sunday, I cook, he cooks. We swap out different times. So this Sunday is my Sunday. Last Sunday was his, but you all saw the pictures of the lamb. He had the Persian lamb situation with the rice and all that. This, I went, with a different type of Latin flair, a churrasco steak with homemade chimichurri sauce and these really good potatoes that go with the chimichurri sauce, and then there's a really Spanish salad. I did all types of spices and things. It's a different vibe, but you all see the pictures on Instagram. I snatched because I love a good steak. Who doesn't like steak? I marinated it with these really good spices. I used cumin. What else did I use? Of course, garlic pepper. Lots of garlic in the marinade. Chili powder, garlic powder, a little bit of onion powder, some chili flakes to give a little bit of spice, a little bit of spice. Some people don't like spicy food, okay, but I just had to do that little touch, and it turned out well. The thing about marinated steak, you can tell when the steak is marinated. When I experimented with I had a flank steak for my chimichurri steak because we was like, what's your churrasco steak? It was a chimichurri. I'm sorry. It was a flat steak, a flank steak. I'm sorry, flat steak. Well, flat too. Flank steak, and I marinated it, and we decanted a bottle of full-bodied red wine to complement it. We had Syrah last week, which we decanted, and it was a full body. But that decanter, oh my goodness, Tahid, my favorite tool, like one of my favorite things to use in the house. But it was well. It was just a really great dinner. I don't know what he's making next Sunday. Next Sunday is going to be full of surprises. But let me just plug in that, next Sunday is the special taping of Ernestly Speaking. We're going live. It's going to go back on TV for the October special, but we're taping it in September. And many of you all know that if you're interested in seeing the behind the scenes and being a part of the virtual live audience for the show, there is a live audience in person, but that is very there was a small selection, a couple of Ernestly Speaking fans, and of course friends. But to the public at large, you can tune into the live virtual prospect. So you get to be in the virtual audience and you get to watch the show before anybody else do, and you get to, engage and be a part of it. So it's a fun and immersive experience. Super excited. If you're interested, it's going to be via Zoom. The participation from the virtual end is on Zoom. You can RSVP so you can get the Zoom link and all the details the day of the show, which will be next Sunday, will be this. And then it will air starting October 6th, which is approximately a month before the election, okay? Because the election is November 8th, so this would be October 6th, the show. November 8th is the election, October 6th is the show. But this special immersive experience is next Sunday. So if you want to get details and more, on my Instagram, link in bio my Instagram, of course, at Mr. Ernest on Instagram. If you go to my link, click link in the bio, the link tree come up, there is a section for you to RSVP to take advantage of that. Please, 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 please do so as soon as you can. We don't want you to miss out on this opportunity. And the wonderful people at Philadelphia Community Access Media, Philly Camera, ones that's helping with the production of this special taping. So I just wanted to make that shameless plug. But also, because a lot of you all ask me, what you up to, what you doing? I'm doing that. That's what I'm doing. And of course, I'm doing an audio book of my book coming up soon. So I've been doing a lot of things. Everybody's like, what you got going on next? Listen, these are things that have not disappeared. The book is still coming out. The audio book is still getting done. There's tons of things I'm doing. So I want people to, of course, take advantage and check it out. So be a part of that cool audience and get to see what's going down. So that's happening. Super, super excited. I have, do not want to forget this before I get into my other part. So everyone saw, a lot of you all saw that over the week I was at Rolling Stone. I was in New York City. I was at a Rolling Stone party, a Rolling Stone magazine party. And I was with the editor-in-chief over there, who is a good friend of mine in the industry. And, we go back. He used to be the editor-in-chief of the Daily Beast, which I, write for and contribute to. Now he has become the editor-in-chief of Rolling Stone magazine, which he's been in this position for about a year now, roughly a year. And of course, wherever he goes, I will go. And so now I was able to write for Rolling Stone a couple of pieces. Of course, I wrote this wonderful piece not too long ago about how Black queer musicians and artists took over the summer and dominated summer music and took over the summer, basically. The summer that Black queer music took over is the piece. And it was great. It was fun to write it. It was a good, fun, long form piece. And you can check it out on their website. But we, I went to the party, we took pictures, and, I had a good time. And folks started the rumors again, because, you all love your rumors. Is Ernest moving to New York? And I'm just like, can we, look, I just got a new place in Philly. How would I mean, they were like, oh, he got two places. I mean, that's fair. I can see that argument. No, y'all, I'm not leaving. Not now. Not now. I'm not saying soon. I don't know. Who knows? But I can tell you at least for the next 2 years. The next 2 years, I'll be in Philadelphia for sure. After those 2 years, I'll keep you updated. But at least these 2 years, I will be in Philadelphia. I have things in Philadelphia. I have business in Philadelphia. I have things in Philadelphia. I love Philly. I don't want to leave. Why do y'all keep throwing me out? Y'all keep pushing. It's like y'all want me to go. So y'all can just say that I did it, like I left. But I'm trying to prove a point here. And I was talking to my good Judy, Josh, who has that incredible Josh East Philly on Instagram. But Josh and I was talking, and he was just saying that, that I'm proving that you can be successful in Philadelphia. You do not have to leave Philadelphia to be successful. I know that is a common trend. But at least for myself, I am successful, and I did not have to leave. I don't have to leave. I know I'm not from here. Maybe that plays a role slightly. I can imagine if you're born somewhere, your entire life, you might want to leave for different reasons. I mean, that's how my experience was. I was born in Chicago, but I grew up in Houston most of my life, and went to Philadelphia for a different experience. But I was in Houston, Texas, and in Houston. And listen, I'm not doing the whole Texas. You know how Texas is. But listen, Texas is. Houston is the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Okay, use that metaphor. That is the best way to describe what it's like to be in Houston in Texas, the same way how it feels to be in Pennsylvania, to be in Philadelphia and Pennsylvania. Okay? Don't even try it. Y'all really be out here acting like, oh, the South this, the South that. The Northeast got their problems too. Okay? The Northeast, listen, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is a state. We're going to be talking about Pennsylvania in a minute, actually. Because some of y'all forget calling it Pennsylvania. Okay, well then you know. And I don't even know why y'all putting Kentucky in it. Like, Kentucky don't be talking about Pennsylvania. Kentucky don't even be in no drama. When is the last time you heard any news about Kentucky? We barely hear about Kentucky in the news. So don't even put Kentucky in this. Own your shit, Pennsylvania. Okay? Own your shit, Pennsylvania. But I say all to say that I can understand why people who grew up in Philly would leave, because you probably want just a different worldview, a different thought. And then maybe you can take that and then bring it back to Philly and make it better. I mean, it's just different experiences. But I like Philadelphia. I like this proximity to D.C. and to New York. I like the proximity, I like the flexibility that when I want to go to New York, I have business in New York. And as I keep with my running joke, that I rarely do overnights in New York, you all were shocked to see that I partied there and brought my ass right back home before midnight. Listen, I'm Cinderella. Before that clock strikes midnight, that pumpkin, everything goes away. Okay, because New York is nothing to play with. Everybody keep acting like Philly. Listen, New York is nothing to play with. I do not want to be crashing in a small, on any of my friends in New York. They live in New York. They can't host my ass. They could, some of them. But like, New York apartments are not Philadelphia apartments. They're not Philly condos. They're not Philly houses. Nothing in New York is anything like Philadelphia. So if I go to any of my friends' places, I am taking up space, literally and figuratively. I would be taking up space in their place. I would be. Like, my ass is tall. I'm 6 foot. I'll be taking up space. Okay? I just feel like, now if some of them stay at my place, there'll be some space for them. But New York places, they built different. And also too, it's just the way that I come in. I have sporadic visits in New York. I couldn't just do that to my friends. I'm a considerate guest. Some of y'all don't know what it means to be a considerate host. Like, I just couldn't be like the day before, can I crash at your place? I'm here overnight. I just couldn't do it. And the hotels in New York are just ridiculously expensive. I mean, just like that's, no, absolutely not. So I just say, what's cheaper? Get on my Excella, use my points, give me a little $60 round trip, come through, come in, come out, and dip. Now, if I want to do something like that, everything I'm going to need to be free. Like, I'm not paying if it's comped. So that's kind of what I do. Like, if I go to New York and there's a party, I'm going to a party that's really important, something that is worth the visit. And let me just say, business is being done at the party. And I had a good time. And I took my ass right back home to my husband and enjoyed my night. But like I said, you can do those in and out trips to New York. I do a couple. I'm going to have to go back to New York in a couple of weeks for a wedding. But other than that, that'll be an overnight situation because I have to, unfortunately. 2 overnights, actually. But I'm in New York for that. But other than that, I'm in and out. I'm an in and out girl in New York. But just wanted to clear that rumor because that rumor continues to persist. No, I'm not going anywhere from Philadelphia for now. For at least 2 years. And then we'll see what happens after that. So other news, real quick. There is a Wednesday event happening that I'm doing called An Untitled Love Conversation, Rethinking Black Love in Modern Times. I'm working with the AIM by Kyle and Abraham dancers. They're dope. And we would love for you all to be a part of that. It's free. Free. Please make sure you come. It is at the Haas Beer Garden at French Arts. The flyer is on my Instagram page. It is going to be on Wednesday from 6 to 8. There will be complimentary drinks for an hour. So there'll be free cocktails. So, get your life, okay? PABJ, the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists, are co-sponsoring with Black Star and French Arts. It's all of us connected. Of course, we're hosting it. I'm going to be hosting the conversation. So yes, we're talking about Black love. And I was like, of course, bring the Black married queer guy to talk about it. Love it. We're going to be having some really cool conversations. And there's going to be some dance performances. And there's going to be some drinks. Who doesn't love that? And it's free. It's a community event. Please come out, okay? Please come out. We love a good complimentary drink. Don't we? For a whole hour? That's a happy hour. For real. 6 to 7. What you got doing on Wednesday? Nothing. Come through. I'll be there hosting this lovely event. So if you're in town, we want to see you. Come up and show up and sip on some complimentary cocktails, spread the word. It's Black Love. It's dope. And if you want to RSVP, because you must RSVP, we have limited capacity. That's also in the link in bio on my Instagram. So if y'all not following, y'all follow me on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, you need to follow me on Instagram because all of my details, links, RSVPs are there. So I just want to put out that plug because it's a lot of events going on and I just want to try to be connected. So yeah. I think that's everything that's going on in my life for the most part. My bathroom is completely furnished. Yes, this moving situation, it's getting there. Still waiting on my fucking table, but they say the table's coming next week, so we'll wait. But that table said I wouldn't give up on it. It was like, no, I need this table. Like, I need this table to match. I got a rug now. I've made a couple of more updates, but I'm like almost done. I'm about this table. It's the table. Everything else is here. Pictures, frames, everything else is here. The only thing that's missing right now is the table and chairs. That's what I need right now is the table and the chairs. Everything else in there is there. The wine, the bar, the kitchen. The kitchen is done. The bathroom is now done. The bedroom is set. All I need is this table and I will be 100%. Because I'm trying to host. So mentally my goal is I want to have like a little mini situation around my birthday probably for a couple of friends to come through. That's my plan right now. And the table will hopefully get here by now. Well, it will definitely be. But I need to have my situation. So we're going to see what is given. But here we go. So to the news, to everything that's going on, to the hot topics. So I just want to reiterate to people, get that new Omicron booster vaccine situation. Get it. Because as you all know, apparently fall is coming. Get those flu shots. People who are in my circle who have not gotten COVID before have gotten COVID as recently as this week. So far, so good over here. I haven't gotten COVID. Thus far, I continue to be the person who is surviving, but there are friends of mine who have not gotten it. So COVID is out here. COVID is still out here. These strands, this shit is still here, people. Like, I know the news might be a little focused on other things, but COVID is still in the building. And, you could be one event away from dodging that bullet. So get the shot. Get that shot. Get it. Because, a friend of mine who recently got it, I got the booster last week, of course, from CVS. So you all know, got that, took care of that, got out the way. One of my friends was supposed to get it around the same time I did. They were like, they'll get to it. They'll get to it. And they hadn't gotten a booster since like, the last booster they got was like earlier this year, like way earlier this year. So they just was like, they were going to get it later. Well, went to an event, came back, tested positive. And it was just like, damn, what if you had that booster? Your chances would have been less likely. And so let me just say, there was no serious, symptoms. I mean, they were a little under the weather for like a day or two, whatever. They went through various colds on and off, but they're on the mend now. They're feeling better. They're good now. It wasn't so super severe, but just, you just don't want to have to be out of commission because as a result, they haven't been able to go to anything for the past week since then. So it's like, it's not so much. See, the thing about the COVID thing for me is yes, the symptoms, the risk, that is deep and that's serious. And you don't know what it's going to do to you. It can do different things in different bodies, right? The choice to avoid it at all costs is the goal. That's the plan. However, let's say you get it and you're fully boosted and everything. Yeah, you may not get super sick, but you got to cancel the week. Like, getting sick in general is just like, you got to, like, whether or not it's COVID or the flu or whatever, or just a high temperature, it sets your week back. Because now, things you want to do, places you want to go, business you want to handle, you can't even do be you got to now tend to that. So even just for the logistical aspects of it, like, no. Be right. Do right. Don't put yourself through that. Get the vaccine, people. Get the booster. Get that flu shot, because flu season is definitely now official. So we're not playing out here. And wash them damn hands and that mouth. For real, for real. The mouth, definitely. Gargle. All of it. Hygiene is important. And your health PSA is now over. So, things is also going on this week. So on Monday evening at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on CNN, they will be airing the Queen's funeral. Okay. I'll be out in Fishtown doing other things, but to the people who observe, for whatever reasons, news-wise, our entire news thing will be shut off at 5 o'clock because there will be prioritized. It's been so many antics going on with Meghan Markle and the royal family. I'm just sick of it. Like, not like all of this and all of the antics and folk and all of the energy. I mean, the new King Charles, right? They are going to have a nearly 20, I think they said $20 billion, but $1 billion fortune that was untaxed. And let's not even get into the fact that the resources and things that they might have been acquired in means, but like they whatever. That's what I'm gonna give it. Whatever. Whatever. But to those who wanted to know, there you go. Moving along. So, this Krasner situation, okay, in Harrisburg. A lot of people have been asking me what my thoughts have been about it. And I've been taking some time to process this because it's just so complicated. But I have some tea to spill. And this is the kind of tea that you're only going to get at a show like Ernestly Speaking, because that's just what it is. But I'm going to tell you all, because there's a lot of progressives, a lot of, different moderates and folks listen to this podcast from Philly and from all over Pennsylvania. And I purposely put the title that PA Dems are fighting because I want these people to read this and I want this to spread. And I want people to understand what's happening right now in Harrisburg with this crash situation and everything that's happening. And it's a lot because there's some nuance here that needs to be explored. And there's some things I just want to be clear about. And it's a lot. So let's start into what has been going on and what's really happening right now in Pennsylvania, because it's a lot. So to be clear, there is a push to impeach Philadelphia District Attorney Larry Krasner. There is the PA House, okay, the House of Representatives in Pennsylvania, not Congress, but Pennsylvania, passed Resolution 227, which basically they voted in favor of holding Krasner in contempt for failing to respond to a subpoena. So Krasner could be potentially jailed for this, okay? And apparently, the lawyer who's representing him, of course, has called the vote undemocratic and basically is vowing to fight the legitimacy of it. That is what's being said. Now, the House voted 162 to 38 to hold him in contempt, including numerous Democrats. Okay, we're talking over 50 Democrats across the Commonwealth, including Lieutenant Governor Austin Davis. I'm sorry, Floridian slip. The current Lieutenant Governor is John Fetterman. Austin Davis is currently running for Lieutenant Governor. Lieutenant gubernatorial candidate and Democrat Austin Davis was one of the people that voted. State Rep Amin Brown, State Rep Mary Isaacson, who else? Ed Nilsen, Darisha Parker, even though Darisha Parker put it on social media that she's going to, she made a mistake, she claims. I'm a little skeptical to that, personally, because I'm just like, how did you make an error on that? But she claims that in Harrisburg, when she voted, her vote was incorrectly recorded, and she said when she returned to Harrisburg, she said that this next week, she said she'll be correcting the record to reflect her opposition. People say that this is misleading because someone said, "How are you able to rescind the vote?" She said, "Once the House gavels out, you cannot change the vote," and they said this is very misleading. But she put this on social media for politics. And we're going to get to why I suspect she did it for politics. Because apparently when she was in different committees before this went to the floor, she had also voted the same way. So there's some inconsistency there. There's some messy politics. People don't know how Harrisburg votes go. And as a state rep, I'm kind of looking at her like that was not a good, like that's just not how votes get done. Once votes get made, you can't rescind votes at the last minute. Like that's not how it works. You can try to tell everybody else that, but like, come on, you know what it was. So let's get into what the politics were and what the logics were behind it. Why did some Democrats do? So let me start off by backing this all the way up. The issue, before we get to the subpoena part, is that the Republicans want to impeach Krasner. This would have to go to the House committee. If the House committee approves, the full House will vote on it. If the majority of lawmakers vote on it, then there will be a trial similar to what Donald Trump went through in 2021. So remember when it was an impeachment trial and all of that? There will have to be a trial. There'll be a whole hearing. This will take months, y'all. This is not going to happen in a day. And this will definitely not happen before the midterm elections on November 8th. So apparently after there will be a trial, there'll be 2/3 of the Senate will have to approve to impeach him, to remove him from office. That means that 34 out of 50 of the senators would have to say he was guilty after the hearings would happen. And right now the chamber is like 28 Republicans, 1 independent, and 21 Democrats. So there would have to be some Democrats that would have to, let's say there would technically need to be 6 Democrats that would backstab their party to do this. That's what they're claiming. That's the argument being done. Now, the issue is that, and this is the issue. They're claiming that he should be impeached because he's been failing to serve Philadelphians, and they think that, what he's been doing is that he's not been tough on crime. He's not been doing a good job. So they want him to be impeached. Now, the subpoena portion, because let's be clear, there has been no vote to impeach Krasner. They're trying to set up the motions to do it. Right now, they're doing an inquiry. Because right now they actually filed a subpoena. The Pennsylvania House of Representatives, they put out a subpoena because he's under investigation by a House committee. So there's a House committee right now that is looking into Krasner, and the committee is made up of Democrats and Republicans. And there's a House committee looking into Krasner and basically his performance on the gun violence epidemic. And so basically they're calling it, and this is so problematic, it is called a House Committee on Restoring Law and Order, which is running with also the Republican-led effort to impeach Krasner. But this Committee on Restoring Law and Order, which makes up Democrats and Republicans, this is basically in place to investigate. And so there are some Democrats on there like Amin Brown and some others who are on that committee. But it's really looking messy. So the committee basically, sent a subpoena to Krasner, which they have the authority to do. And they've asked for documents requested so they can look into how he's handled cases. So he has not basically decided to respond, is what they're saying. So they are basically had to vote on contempt. Now, state reps like Austin Davis, who's also the candidate run for lieutenant governor alongside Josh Shapiro, who is the lieutenant, who is also the attorney general, the AG, they are both basically are saying that they categorically following the law. So the argument is that categorically any person, regardless if you're the DA of Philadelphia or you're just some random person in the streets, if you do not agree, if you do not respond to a subpoena, you could be held in contempt. That's just the law. Like, that's what they're saying. So they said that they did this based on procedural matters, that this was not, them taking a position against Krasner or their thoughts about Krasner. This is them simply saying that this is what the law says, and Krasner's inability to do that mean that they was following and characterizing the law. Now, leaders in the Democratic Party, such as Joanna McClinton, Jordan Harris, they just are like, I don't know about that. Like they voted no. They did not vote in that way. And I'm just thinking to myself, if your leadership, if your party's leadership decides not to vote for that, wouldn't that be the side that you should stick on? Unless there's something else at bay. So, to be clear, Krasner's team, his lawyers said that the a contempt vote was undemocratic, because they claim, the lawyer says, that's representing Krasner, and Krasner is a lawyer himself, but here you go. Lawyers have to have lawyers. He said that basically they had submitted a response to the subpoena in the court filing. Now, let me quote what was said by the lawyer. The lawyer says, quote, the subpoena issued by the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office seeks secret grand jury documents and other privileged documents related to a pending murder case involving a former police officer charged with killing a black man, attorney Michael Satin said. Now, he is the lawyer representing Krasner. He finishes off by saying that this subpoena interferes with local democratic rule and it violates the separation of powers by interfering with the district attorney's prosecutorial discretion, among other things. Okay. So it's not like, according to this, that Krasner just simply said, fuck the subpoena. Apparently, there is a response to the subpoena in a court filing. He's asking the judge to squash this. He's saying, look, there can't be a subpoena here because what they're asking for is a case that has not been solved or resolved. So there needs to be, the committee needs to go back and do some working. But that's what the technicality is. So when I heard this, I was like, there's not really a technicality versus like, okay, the Democrats who voted against Krasner, they don't read or they're politically motivated. Because to me, listen, I have my issues with Krasner. I have an issue with every politician. No politician is perfect in my view. There's things that each of these politicians could be doing better. I think Krasner can get off of the whole white savior tip, right? I don't think Krasner is the worst person in the world. I think that Krasner has problems, right? Like he aligns himself with people like Shaun King and Shaun King's pack. Shaun King is highly problematic. And so to all these woke social justice warriors that love Krasner, defend him down, ask him why is he dealing with a very problematic, fucked up person like Shaun King? Why is he involving himself with that pack that continues to give him ethical violations each election cycle he's ran? Those are the real conversations and questions I have for Krasner. These are the things that he doesn't address to people because he thinks he's holier than thou. And anybody, including black men like myself, who criticize him on those affiliations, it's a problem. But it's so funny to me because black elected officials are criticized all the time for their affiliations, but white elected officials or non-black ones are not held to the same standard. So people love to talk about, Jeffrey Yass money in the Democratic Party. I agree. That is interesting money that should be critiqued and not good money. And yes, people should criticize those individuals who do. However, why isn't no one ever talking about Helen Kim or Nikhil Saval's connections with Johnny Dock and Bobby Heenan, and why Helen Kim continues to defended Bobby Heenan up until he was found guilty and basically knew all of the things that was done before his conviction, and yet she aligned herself with someone like that. But no one has those questions for those two non-black elected officials, right? But then let's move along, right? There's conversations. They was trying to blast Councilperson Isaiah Thomas, right? Because the Commonwealth Foundation, right, which is that far conservative base that's funding problematic people, they criticized Commonwealth Foundation. He was quoted in the Commonwealth article. Now, he said that quote was taken out of context and misused. But just the mere sense that he was in that article, there was tons of people on Twitter dragging him and trying to come at him. White progressives fucking up per usual. Didn't see that smoke for these other people, though, right? Don't see the smoke for anybody else in their alignments. No one says that because there's a protection. And there's a target on black people in their political alliances more so than everybody else. It's the anti-blackness for me. But let's get back to the rest of this conversation. Just want to put that little plug in. I see what you all are doing here. Now, back to this particular incident. For all of my concerns about some of the things that Krasner do, right, this is clearly a Republican effort to impeach Krasner. Anybody trying to pretend and say otherwise is full of shit. And that goes for everybody, okay? This is an attempt for the Republicans to try to push back on progressive elected officials. Now, whether or not we agree about how effective these elected officials are, that's what we handle in our own backyard. The people have spoken. You cannot overturn the election results of a population unless you're trying to be Donald Trump. The Republicans are trying to overturn this election decision. They're trying to use Philadelphia as an example. And if they start with Krasner, you already know they're setting a precedent for that they think they can just go in other people's cities and municipalities and turn over election results, which to me is unconstitutional. So for those Democrats who want to play both sides and act like they're doing certain jobs, let's be clear about the political connections and what they are. Let's be real. I think Austin Davis made that vote because Josh Shapiro, who's running for governor, hates Larry Krasner. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. That is not a big shocker, ooh la la. So I'm not surprised that Austin Davis voted the way he did, but they're playing politics. And let me be clear. There's a certain type of playing politics that I think there's a dance, right? Because when it's all said and done, I think there are certain Democrats that's going to lead up to this point. They're going to tease out these little stupid insignificant votes. This subpoena shit is just a goofball. This shit ain't going to happen. Krasner's not getting arrested. I don't think that Krasner's going to really get hit by this. This is political theater playing out in rare form. And at the end of the day, he's not even going to get impeached. That's not going to happen. But all these activists and these advocacy groups that fundraise and grift off of these types of scandals and salations, they will use this as fodder to fundraise off of it, right? Because the fear and the threat of it is what is getting them to do it. It's all a fucking joke. All of this is a fucking joke. The Republicans doing this is fucking political theater. It's a fucking joke. It's not going to happen. The Democrats, though, that are trying to play both sides of this issue are doing it for fundraising, okay? Like, I'm not at all shocked and under the thought that Almond Brown is using this tough on crime approach to fundraise to get money. Now, let me say this. It's fucked up and it's stupid. But I will say this, though, to those people like him and Isaacs and other people, but even people like Almond, is that guys like him, sadly, do not get enough money to campaign. He is not getting the money. You all want Cass Green. Cass Green couldn't get the money. Cass Green lost. So all these Democrats out here that want progressive people are not raising that money if they're black. Black progressives are not raising the money. You want to talk about people like Rick Krasner? Come on now. Come on. I'm just saying, come on. There will be compromise. There will be compromise. And every district is different. And so it's like there's some people like Chris Rabb where he's found a way to fiend off and fight off, right? But where are the black progressive candidates that's winning, that's actually getting tons of money, that are black? Don't tell me POC. Don't tell me white. Give me black men who are progressive, that are winning, that have not had other means. Like Chris Rabb is in a unique district with a different type of voting population, a different level of engagement. But these West Philadelphia candidates that y'all tried to run progressively from Working Families Party on, they're not fucking winning. And you look at Gautier. Look, Gautier better hope, right? Like, look at Gautier's situation. Philly 3.0 is not apparently supporting her this time around. That's developer money. And your favorite progressives, they have to shake hands with dirty people too. None of these people are clean. None of this money is clean. Krasner has to get Soros money. Krasner has to get support and funding from the Real Justice PAC. All of these people are getting money in ways that are questionable. The people they're getting the money from is dirty. It is politics. And the sad part is that when you don't allow progressive money to help support black progressives, then moderates will continue to do what they're going to do because they're not held at the same standard that white progressives hold their other peers. I look at someone like Andre Carroll, right, who ran against Kinsey. Where was the money and support to make sure he won, right? Working Families helped him a little bit, right? Not a little bit, they helped him a lot. They gave him a campaign manager. They provided some grassroots support. But the fundraising dollars and the money did not come in for him the same way that it does for Liz Fiedler and some of these other people that can lean onto whiteness and their proximity to whiteness. That was a black, gay, millennial running in an area that he could have won. He didn't lose by that much. But y'all don't fund those campaigns. Y'all don't support those campaigns. And then the moderates and the Democrats, y'all try to hold Democrats to the same progressive standards. Oh, fuck it. We all know there's different Democrats. We know that there are progressives and there's moderates, but the moderates keep winning, right? Like Paul Prescott didn't win, right? The moderates keep winning because they are doing what they got to do to survive politically because there's no incentive to run as a progressive black candidate in this town when you don't hold them to the same standards and your anti-blackness don't give them the same funding to make them competitive and actually fucking win. The only time we've seen someone that pulled that off was Kendra Brooks. But look what Kendra Brooks had to do. She had to get national attention and buzz. Literally, she had to get national attention. She had to get people like Elizabeth Warren, like white women like Elizabeth Warren co-signing her for white folks to give a fuck. I'm telling you, you know how I know? Because Nicholas O'Rourke didn't fucking win. And he didn't have Elizabeth Warren endorsing him. If he did, maybe he would have. That's how white progressives move. Y'all do not support black candidates. Collectively, you do not support black progressive candidates with money, right? You go up and you say you're going to vote for them and you take pictures. But I will tell you, when I look at Emily's list and the people that give money to certain people, they give money to people like Helen Gem. They give to Nick Savall. They give to people like that. They don't really support black progressive candidates on a larger scale to make them win in predominantly black and brown cities like Philly. It is anti-blackness in that progressive movement. And it's time that people call that shit out while you want to call everyone else out. See, I see the problems with everybody. I see the problems with the moderates. I see the fucked upness of people like the Almond Browns and the slopes they walking on because the shit is going to lead to only more harm in our communities. But you fucking white progressives, you don't make it better for anybody either. You're just as bad. You don't think you are, but you are. Because you bring people out into these districts that don't know these communities. You sit up here and you use racist rhetoric. I've heard people talk about low information voters. Do you know that's another way of calling black voters in these neighborhoods stupid? Do you not know that people can draw the line? You sit up here and you have your, campaign sessions in South Philly, in areas that are not in black neighborhoods, and you have these candidate forums, and you question these people down, and you sit around here and you hold litmus tests, but you don't actually take into account all the nuance. And then you talk down to other black people that are caught up in the middle and don't realize that you actually need their votes and their attention. There's a reason why someone like Amin wins. Because you all have not found a way to engage black voters that make them feel like their votes matter in ways that make them include progressive values without progressive people. The values are progressive, but the people really aren't. And that's what's holding people back, and that's what's creating the friction. So let's get into why this situation is happening, right? This rhetoric around law and order, this rhetoric around safer communities. They can continue to use Krasner as a scapegoat to justify their fucked up agenda. And there are some people that are vulnerable, right? There are some black Democrats that are in these neighborhoods that are vulnerable. And they want to hold on to power. And so they're going to do things that are detrimental to hold on. But the crazy part about it, and the weird part about it, is that the progressives further antagonize these people. And then they don't realize that the community is largely on these people's side. And so there's a disconnect here that everybody wants to do this work without engaging the actual community. I mean, progressives, let me clarify. Progressives want to do this work without actually engaging black and brown communities. And let me be clear about black and brown communities. Not just the black people you like. Because there's a lot of them that talk shit about me. They don't like me because they don't like the fact that I just don't go with the fucking flow. They think that I'm coddling and defending problematic people. No, I'm just telling you all what the fuck is going on, because if you think that you could just turn a blind eye to the black voters and people that are in these neighborhoods voting for these people, then you've missed your mark. There's some real fuckery going on both sides of this issue. And the problem is that the black progressives that are in these areas, they play games too. Oh, they play games. You want to know a game? You want to know a little fun little game? Is that while everybody was talking shit about Ryan Boyer, right? That piece I did on him, and talking about how he's got these very, very problematic views and how, he's only supporting, moderate candidates. Did you all know that he had a fundraiser at his house for Jamie Gautier. And did you know that Jamie Gautier on Facebook, which, me and her do not have good, we're not on speaking terms. Well, we don't, she doesn't speak to me. She has a problem with me. I mean, I'm over her. She shared my article and she didn't shout me out as the author of it, but she shouted out, Ryan Boyer, after the fact that Ryan Boyer threw a fundraiser at his house for her. And she, of course, went. And I'm thinking to myself, do the progressives know that she's like chilling and cool with him? Funny, right? But that goes back to what I said earlier. Everybody's got to get their hands a little dirty. Name me a politician that you like that don't have questionable funds. Because they all are. They all are. Getting money from people you don't like. And you all will consider it a necessary evil, don't you? Well, where does it start and where does it stop? You can't even say, right? And the reality is that I guess to some degree, the argument becomes if it impacts the person's policy, right? Because some of these people that y'all crucify, the policies that you say, oh, they're pro-charter school. But then when you look at their bills, their education, they voted in favor of public education. Now, I can understand the critiques around charter schools. I get it. I'm not getting into what my position is, but I think that some of the conversations had about it is like coming from people whose kids go to Masterman. Oh, you forgot that. Or Greenfield, or the other schools that are not necessarily the ones that, you wouldn't put your kids there. Or didn't even have children put kids in school. But they have this opinion about it that is just so, cringy. Think about it. Just think about it. You can hate me all day. But I'm just showing you in the mirror. No white progressive is ever going to have any level of authority to talk down to any black Democratic voters. I don't care who you think you are. But the lived experiences and the circumstances to which we've been under, a lot of that was driven by your parents and your grandparents and even yourself and your, blind complicity and your, half-assedness on what you choose to fight for and what you don't. And your convenience in going after black people, specifically black men and journalists that don't necessarily, speak the way that you speak or talk the way that you talk. But we talk about civic exchange, democratic values. How funny is that? So tying this all back to the Krasner situation and just putting that down, I think a lot of these Democrats who supported for this, they know damn well that they know what game they're playing. But they know at the end of the day, when the vote has to get on the floor, I don't see them betraying. Because that will be it. If this gets on the floor, and if there is a vote asked to be cast to impeach Krasner, whatever Democrat votes in that committee to impeach Krasner, whichever Democrat does that vote to impeach him in the end, that tells you where they really stand. Everything else that's happening right now, it's a little messy, it's a little funky, but they're going to use the excuse that I'm just following procedural. The procedural clause is what they're going to use. Now, I see right through the bullshit. But I'm going to tell you, when it's all said and done, they're not going to actually do the vote. Now, there's some progressives that are definitely like myself that's seeing through the bullshit now and seeing it early. However, to me, this is still too early in the weeds. The dramatizing of it is too early in the weeds. It's too fucking early. When we get to that impeachment ordeal, once impeachment is really, really on the table, and whoever is voting to impeach, whatever Democrats are voting to impeach, it will be their head. That will be their head. That will be the moment when we will know where people really stand. But if you think the cards are played right, some of these people won't even be in that position. Austin, for example, Austin Davis, if he gets elected, November 8th, he won't have to worry about that. A couple of these other people, we'll see what happens to them. Hell, maybe the state, maybe the Democrats can control the state house by then. Maybe they can take back the state house. And if they take back the state house in November, there's a possibility they could. If they take back the state house, we won't even have to worry about this stuff ever going to committee. So I think it's a bunch of hot air for now, right now. I don't think it requires that much. But what we need to be clear about is that we don't need these distractions right now. Because the Republicans are using this as a distraction from the midterm elections. They're scared that they're going to lose. And they're doing everything in their power to keep this drama up. They know that. They know that. Krasner said this back in June, and I quote, Pennsylvania House Republicans want to distract you from their decades of failed governance that has led to greater economic inequality and the current crisis of gun violence as they have encouraged the flooding of our communities with deadly firearms. This is what he said back in June. Quote, PA Republican legislators attempt to block certification of presidential election results in 2020 and rank second in the nation for lawmakers who are members of far-right extremist groups, according to a new bombshell report from the Institute for Research and Education on Human Rights. And there you fucking have it. Of course. Of course. He further added, democracy and freedom-loving Pennsylvanians will not be fooled by these anti-democratic efforts to devalue Philadelphia's diverse votes. Philadelphia is not Pennsylvania's colony. Our votes count in full, not as 3/5 of a vote. Stay tuned for these and other efforts nationwide of legislators who would hold hands with hate groups to try to defeat democracy by both violent and nonviolent means. The coup continues as some Republicans try nationally and locally to overturn more elections they lost badly. So that's really what it gives. That's really what it gives. We know what it gives. And the sad part is that this is just a distraction. It's political theater. It's a distraction. And one issue and why I was really, really concerned is because I was given correspondence that Shaun King, yes, that Shaun King, had specifically reached out to a state rep or more, but one particular state rep who voted against, who voted for Krasner, one of the Democrats who voted to hold Krasner in contempt. He reached out to them on the Instagram DMs. I was privy to seeing these DMs. It was sent to me. And basically was trying to interrogate why they voted the way they did. Now, this individual who received this particular state representative, was under the impression that they felt like they viewed it as a veiled threat. That's how they perceived it, allegedly. And so they contacted the leader, their House leader, Joanna McClinton, who was a state rep, and informed them of this. Now, let me tell you why this informant needs to be made. Because here's what was speculated. They perceive that there could be a possibility, allegedly, that Shaun King would be targeting the Democrats who voted against, who voted what he would have perceived that voted against Krasner in this particular situation with this contempt, and that he was going to single out these Democrats, and he was going to drive up traffic and energy to get people to call their offices and demand change and demand explanation, and there was going to be a lot of smoke and heat. And it's been driving it in the media. Now, let's be clear. This could have impacted Austin Davis. And if there is a sense of this kind of energy and this type of mudslinging happening before the midterms, will this suppress the vote? Will this create low voter turnout that the Democrats might need to win and take over the seats in the midterms? This is what could be on the table. Now, why was Joanna McClinton contacted? Because everyone at this point in the House knows that Joanna has cozied up to the Real Justice PAC. Not only has she received thousands of dollars from the Real Justice PAC, interesting enough, before she endorsed Krasner, like right immediately before the money hit, here she go taking a photo endorsing Krasner. Some people speculate that it appears to them they viewed it in their opinion, allegedly, as quid pro quo. That's allegedly, that's an assumption, that given the fact that the money came, that this is during the previous election cycle, that given the fact that the election came around then, this was the 2021 primary, that she received that money and then quickly endorsed Krasner, that people, some people perceive that as her getting paid to endorse him, allegedly. She did receive the money, that's a fact. And then she did quickly endorsed Krasner publicly at the Cato statue right after she got the money. That's just a fact. That's a fact. Now, whether or not that's quid pro quo or just a coincidence, it is what it is. But she has done more than that. And a lot of people are trying to catch up with her. So 2 weeks ago, she was, about a week or so ago, she actually was out here lobbying funders and campaign donors. And this is facts because I spoke directly to the individuals and I've seen some correspondence of myself. I've seen some interesting feedback and mentioning. But she's been pushing Gary Chambers. Gary Chambers is a Democrat that is running Louisiana for a seat there in Louisiana. Gary Chambers is heavily backed by Shaun King's Real Justice PAC and supported heavily by Shaun King. So why was Gary Chambers in Philadelphia? Well, he was amongst politicians. He's running in Louisiana. He wants a seat. Gary Chambers in Louisiana. He's running for U.S. Senate. He's running for that seat in the U.S. Senate. He had the video, if you remember, this big, dark-skinned black guy. That's his profile. Describing him. He was in a video. He has like the curly top haircut style, or with locks and whatnot. And he basically was smoking marijuana, or as I would describe cannabis, blowing smoke. And he was sitting on a couch, like in the middle of a farm or something. It was a very bold video, very, very bold campaign video. He's 37 years old, so he's a millennial. And he was originally from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Real Justice PAC is really pushing for this seat. Now, I don't know what his prospects are. He may win. I don't think he is going to win. But there's been a huge push from Shaun King's people. He made an appearance in Philadelphia, actually. There was a video that went viral of basically Shaun King confronting, I believe, Carlos Vega, or came out to, was it Carlos Vega they confronted? But they came out there and confronted, I think, Carlos Vega. And there was some other people arguing. There was a lot going on. And interesting enough, what's really, really interesting, I think, was it Carlos who ran up? One of them, they were having a confrontation, was on camera. And Gary Chambers was back then. People thought that Gary Chambers was Shaun King's bodyguard. He wasn't. He was just there on the ground. And so that was last year, and I remember that video. I remember covering that. Now let's move forward. Let's fast forward. Now he's running for Senate, and he's back in Philadelphia. He had a fundraiser in Philly, and a lot of progressive Democrats and the like were out there, showing up for him. And Joanna was one of the people that kind of convened this. So, from what I'm hearing, phone calls are being made to try to tell Joanna that she needs to get her boy being Shaun King. And they basically want her to, So, I'm not a fan of Joanna McClinton, as you can imagine, because you're getting money from Shaun King's PAC. What's good for the geese is good for the gander, right? I'm not a fan of Gautier for the same reasons. I just feel like you all are getting money from these types of people, but then you're acting like you're for the community. I mean, Shaun King has been accused of doxing black women activists. He's been accused of stealing their work, of grifting, of definitely doing things that people consider fraudulent. And you're aligning yourselves with someone like that? This man has harassed me on the internet. This man has definitely targeted me personally. But he's done it to a lot of other people, members of the free press, that has been covering him to hold him accountable. And these are the people you're aligning yourselves with. But y'all keep talking about Jeffrey Yass, right? The richest man in Pennsylvania. Yeah, definitely criticize him. But he ain't the only evil out there. So, Democrats got some work on their hands. But the infighting right now, I'm just saying, stay woke. Stay woke. So we'll see what happens. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't think he's going to get impeached. I don't think it's going to go that far. I think that all this will squash itself up before the midterms. I think there's a lot of political theatrics and theater going on right now to put some fear. But all I got to say to Krasner is, man, regardless of this, Krasner, we gotta censor victims more. We gotta at least let the public be under the impression that, I mean, she shouldn't even impression, but you have to articulate how you're protecting victims. Because even though I understand how this criminal justice thing is working, and I understand the logic myself, I got an Ivy League fucking degree and a USC master's. And most voters are not looking at the nuance or taking the time to read all this stuff. And I can say as a journalist, that's everybody. College educated, not, it doesn't, people are not, clearly state reps are not reading either. But you gotta make this make sense to a wide mass of people. And I don't think he's doing a good job doing that for those concerns. Now, he's popular. He's getting elected. He's winning his elections. Absolutely. He's winning. So voters are supporting him, clearly, on a citywide level. But there are certain communities that do feel and question some of the ways in which this man has responded to things. And that shouldn't be brushed aside. So there's something that needs to be said. There is some real conversations that need to be had, and I think that these antics that are being done by certain Democrats, some treacherous Democrats on this end, we just got a lot going on right now. We cannot afford all these types of fights. We just cannot. We just simply cannot do that. So it's going to be some interesting conversations to be had. But I just want to keep you all abreast on some of the bigger fish that has been frying, for sure. Because it's a lot, and I want to talk about it, keep you all abreast. But it is not easy covering some of this infighting, because even covering it has people thinking that you're an op when you're just somebody doing your job. But black people are not allowed to do their jobs nowadays. All right. On to some other things. I'm not going to get too much into this, but this goes hand in hand. What the fuck up with the GOP with this migrant move? So you all have probably seen the latest stunt that's been done by the GOP nationally, where they have moved migrant workers, farmers, and those who are undocumented that have come in, I guess, past the border. They have been moving those people to progressive, arguably liberal areas. So this latest stunt by DeSantis, the governor of Florida, who is being seen as a likely contender for president, to run for president in 2024, he apparently moved thousands, let's be clear, hundreds of migrants, workers and undocumented individuals to Martha's Vineyard. And it created chaos to the point where there had to be a lot of people on the ground working, volunteers, to help assist. And this has been happening in other areas. Greg Abbott, who is the governor of Texas, also pushed people in places like Chicago and parts of New York. And it got to the point where capacity issues and services were so limited that it created a state of emergency that had to be called. And they've been mocking this because they're saying that they don't think that Biden has been tough enough on the border. And they're saying, look, our particular states are, because they're near water, and they're also like coastal southern states, that they're getting heavily impacted by these issues, and that the northerners, right, the northeast folks, they don't know how this feels, and so we want to give them a taste of it. So they've been putting them on flights and buses and things and send them over there to them. And it's been creating a lot of controversy and problems. But now there's one hiccup, though, that apparently the backlash of this is not going in their favor. A lot of people have been really taking issue for a minute with this, and apparently Republicans are not in agreement that this is a good idea, that they look at it as being very harmful and very problematic, which it is, and that to some people they're looking at this like this can blow up in the Republicans' face because of just the antics of it all. So we're gonna see what is given, but personally, it is just baffling. But there was one lawyer who said that apparently if some of those immigrants were basically manipulated and given false pretenses before they got on that departure to another area, to that next area, they could potentially sue and clap back and be given a special visa. So Republicans, you shot yourselves in the foot. This antic has been going on too long, and a lot of people are feeling some type of ways. But also Republican land, they're fighting each other right now on the fact that apparently some Republicans are scaling back on their anti-abortion stances or procedures. Like now they're coming up with some moderate forms. Now let's be clear. I'm pro-choice all day, every day, baby. But I think there's some interesting things. Republicans, and some of them are like looking like, no, this might be hurting me. Because I think they forgot that Republican women, just like Democratic women, just women, regardless of political affiliations, are getting abortions. And that they were like, whoa. Y'all forgot about the Susans of the world, okay, that are out here, playing those games and talk about they were felt portrayed by Kavanaugh. Oh, shut the fuck up. Like, the thing is that they're realizing, wait a minute, this ain't looking good. There will be some Republican suburban woman that might say, you know what, I can't vote for this white man this time because this white man is not serving my interests. Now, white supremacy might collectively serve their interests, some of these conservative women, but they might be like, look, hold up, I actually had a baby, I want my baby, and y'all can't force me. So there's some other stuff that might be going on here. I mean, I can see it happening, but they're scaling back. A lot of them are now soft footing and debating about, how many weeks and this and the third. Now, you know, her body, her choice. That's where I stand on it personally. But there's some interesting stuff happening. And the crazy part is that there's some people that are getting exposed. I don't know if y'all heard this, but Pat Sajak, okay? Y'all remember Pat Sajak and Vanna White? Those people, those individuals from Wheel of Fortune. Now, let me keep Vanna White's name out of it, because this is not Vanna White. I'm only talking about Pat Sajak, the host of Wheel of Fortune. Comes out, he's a huge mega supporter and conservative. He got found a picture of Marjorie Stone Green, or what the fuck her name is. That crazy Georgia lady, okay? She is just a mess. But, she's out here doing what she do best. And a lot of people, yes, Marjorie Taylor Greene, that congresswoman, that conservative congresswoman from Georgia, she's just a mess. She's from Mildredville. She was born in Mildredville. She's 48. She's a hot mess. She is, of course, been elected since 2021. She's just a mess. She's in a picture with Pat Sajak. They're in a photo. People are saying he's posing with Nazis. I don't disagree. And then there's, people, this is a mess. There's this tweets a video showing her kicking a youth activist. Just Major Taylor Greene is a mess, and Pat Sajak is in the photo. But now more receipts are coming out about Pat Sajak. Apparently, he is the chairman of the board at Hillsdale College. This is the same Hillsdale that has been instrumental in conservatives' attacks on public school system and teachers. He is the chairman of the board of that. So he's been in the bed in the mud with pigs, but he was keeping it subtle and on the DL, I guess. No one's really talking about it. But this man has been pro-conservative. He's been a mess for a minute. And not just conservative, y'all. He's mega, which is not even conservative to me anymore, unless I guess they're inflated. That's just a whole nother round of crazy. But listen, the Republican Party has now become the party of Trump, no longer Ronald Reagan, even though Ronald Reagan was a fucking problem, y'all. But, this party has lost its identity. But I guess this is their identity now. But that being said, we're seeing a lot of bad decisions left and right over there. And like I say, at this point in 2022, if you're voting Republican, we're not agreeing to disagree. We just don't fuck with each other. If you are conservative, you're a Republican, I just don't. If you're a Republican in 2022, you know what the fuck it is. You know what the fuck you're doing. I can't fuck with you. Sorry. If you're a Republican talking to me right now, say, Ernest, be independent. Be independent. In a world of Republicans, be an independent. You do not have to do this. You do not have to do this. There are other options. If you don't like the Democrats, that don't mean you automatically a Republican. You can be a libertarian, because everybody want to be a libertarian now. Ugh. That's like the cop-out. Now, libertarian is such a cop-out, y'all. But anyway, you could be the Green Party. You could be an independent. You could be whatever. But y'all, this does not make sense. So I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. I don't. Spare me from it. Save it for somebody else. Debate your cat. I'm not doing it. Period. If you're telling me you're a Republican in 2022, moving along. So this topic, a tale of two films, a tale of two black actresses. So there's been a lot of debate on the internet about Ariel from The Little Mermaid, and my Sebastian boy Ariel. Her name is Ariel. Haley Bailey, not Holly Berry. Holly Bailey is going to be a tongue twister. Y'all keep saying Holly Berry. It's Holly Bailey, who has a sister named Chloe Bailey, who forms the group, of course, that have all the hits, Hallie and Chloe. I love them. I think they're a good group. They're just, their music is good. Chloe and Hallie. That's how much I've listened to them. I miss the group. I miss them as a group. I think Chloe's figuring her own, but I think Chloe's mentally trying to figure out how to do a stage solo. But Chloe and Haley is a dope group. But they're now solo, or doing a solo thing for now. But anyway, so Hallie, or Haley, which either way, She's playing Ariel in the upcoming Little Mermaid, which comes out, the live action Disney version of Little Mermaid comes out on in May of 2023. So less than a year away. Less than a year away. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a box office smash, in my opinion. However, the trailer, the little preview trailer of her singing Part of Your World, has gotten epically so many dislikes on YouTube. So many dislikes. White people are angry. What's new? And they're basically going after her. They're like, this is not the right Ariel. You know, her hair is not the right color. Ariel's white. Mermaids are white. Like, what? Here we go again. This is the same shit that happened with Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, all of these types of fantasy where it's like you all can't imagine a black girl. First of all, it's just stupid. It's stupid. I mean, I get annoyed with this. This is exhausting. Being a black person and getting caught up in these distractions of pop culture. It's exhausting. Because, this happens, with every fucking time there is we've been doing this for several years now, where, anytime there's a fantasy character that was originally white back in the day, Little Mermaid is nearly 35 years old. Nearly 35 years old. And you're sitting over here debating what the film is in the racial identity of a fucking mermaid, right? It's not like they're trying to make Susan B. Anthony black, the way that y'all tried to make Cleopatra black. But I'm gonna let y'all be great, okay? It's not like, we're talking about historical figures, where y'all took Angelina Jolie, remember that Mighty Cry, remember that A Mighty Voice, remember that movie? And they gave, Angelina Jolie this tan to play a black woman. And she's actually white. Look that up. This came out back, this movie's over 15 years old. It was called A Mighty Voice. It might be, yeah, it was this was it didn't do that well. I forget, I'm gonna bring this up because listen, I love me some Angelina Jolie, but it was very telling, when she played this character, and I was wondering what happened with that film. It was called A Mighty Heart. Yes, A Mighty Heart. It came out 15 years ago in 2017. And it was based on a memoir by a woman named Marianne Pearl. Angelina Jolie was nominated for a Golden Globe for Best Actress for the performance. But a lot of people, it's a very interesting film, but there was a lot of, controversy because of just the performance and the character she played. Because A Mighty Heart, the character, the woman is black. And there was some controversy. And it was based on a true story. The film is fascinating. The performance is good. But Angelina Jolie, they gave her the curly hair look and all that. It was a little problematic. Very problematic nowadays. But this has been done before. We're not gonna forget all the times they had white women playing Asian characters. Scarlett Johansson, or roles that were originated for Hawaiian type Asian Pacific Islander roles, like Emma Stone. Remember that when she played that? So let's not act like we ain't seen it. We're talking about characters that were clearly meant to be racially one certain type of way. There's no disclaimer on the Disney princess race for the most part. These are really completely fictional fantasy roles. Just saying, just putting this out in perspective, since we will talk about realism. But beyond that, this isn't about common sense and rationale. I just wish in a perfect world, black people did not feel the need to have to rationalize or justify or defend. Really justify this type of stuff. We spend so much time preoccupying these pop culture wars that we can't even sometimes argue about real systemic social institutional wars. And Toni Morrison talked about this before. The late great Toni Morrison talked about how too much that we in is that taking up time and preoccupation is a device of white supremacy. That the ability to distract us is and focus us and force us to get into this type of stuff is how they control us. And it's true. It's really true. I try not to argue and debate and think about stuff like this and avoid the distraction. Because that's really what it is. That it's meant to make us take our minds off of the other things that's happening in the world. Because they want to argue about book covers and movies and stupid song references and stuff like that, rather than actually taking the time to talk about laws and legislation and fight against that. So they'll take up Black folks' time, right? That's an art that we can't experience joy or just savor the moment or soak in, the pleasure of these historical moments, because too much of white people declaring that we hear their cries and prioritize their anger is oftentimes what happens. And guilty as charged that I sometimes get sucked up into that personally. We all do. But we have to, as a people, just do more to advance and to evolve and think about these things in different ways. And so my mindset is the way that I'm talking about this conversation, not fixating on the ignorance, is to tell you that it's a distraction, is to tell you that this is what they're going to always do. And the bait is for us to continue to fixate ourselves on their complaint rather than celebrating those incredible vocals and the promises film does. That's where we should be. And so what I did was I wrote a really great piece for the Griot talking about how this is the new doll test. So back in the 1940s, there was a Black couple. They were scientists and or psychologists. And they basically, this Black couple went around and did a doll test. And they had a white doll and a Black doll, and they allowed kids to play with it. And they wanted to get kids' perceptions of how they see themselves and how they feel about it. And the Black kids, largely, most of them, did not like the Black doll. And they did not like, and then also the Black doll made them speak about negative things about how they perceive themselves. It was really, really sad. And so as a result, what that research study showed us is that the lack of representation at that time, back in those 1940s, is what led to the perception of negative stereotypes and how they played into the psychology of young Black children and how they saw themselves and how they would eventually grow up. Those kids in the 1940s would be boomers, right? That would grow up and they would be internalizing anti-Blackness because of how they grew up in lack of positive representations of Black people they would see. This is how it embeds in generations, right? When we talk about good hair or light skin being better, that is still ingrained through various generations based on the lack of representation. So we found at that time that representation does matter and play a part. Now, representation is not everything, but representation does play a role. And so I talk a little bit about my growing up and what I loved and how it made me feel. I still remember very much so my childhood being obsessed with the Power Rangers and WWE wrestling. Back then it was WWF. Okay. And I used to always try to figure out why did we grow up loving WWF? Now I know violence, toxic masculinity, trash talk, sexism, misogynoir that was placed on those character actors and those wrestlers. And for God's sake, we know it's fake, y'all, but no one ever watches wrestling for the actual athleticism. It's about the bravado and the showmanship and everything else. That could be another topic for another day. I have so many thoughts about that. But what I will say is that the reason why is because there was an opportunity where I was watching Black men be funny, be cocky, be confident, and kick white people's asses. And we'll get to representation a bit in the next part about this discussion. But it didn't hit me that that was the only outlet where I could see Black men be champions in a way. Like, I was into football and basketball. And yes, Michael Jordan, definitely, right? And basketball, sports. And I think that's why overall in society, we do. But those athletes on the court, they got cocky moments. And Michael Jordan was a champ, right? Michael Jordan is this. I know y'all talk about LeBron, but as I just say, my inner Chicagoan comes out. Michael Jordan will ever be the greatest in my mind. He will always be the greatest. There's just a swagger. LeBron is so great too. And LeBron has made his money. He's a billionaire. He's a great man at heart. He's a better, how do I put this? He's a better sportsman. He's a better sportsman than Jordan. I will give him that. But when we're talking about the overall GOAT, Michael Jordan is the overall GOAT. There will be no LeBron James without Michael Jordan. Period. Okay. And I say Michael Jordan as the ultimate superstar in sports in that way. And I'm talking about in basketball. I'm not talking about tennis and Muhammad Ali and boxing. I'm talking about in basketball. The reason why I say Jordan, and I'm on a tangent, but I gotta say it, because Jordan was like the first one to really hone in an enterprise of athleticism that was bigger than just the sport itself. Like, he was able to cross over into pop culture and create like branding and identity around athleticism in a way that translated to sports. The kind of contracts and Nike deals and things that he got would create and pave the way for Tiger Woods and for Venus and for everyone else. Like, Michael Jordan found a way, his star power, to be able to translate to that. Now, O.J. Simpson had crossover appeal too. Because y'all gotta forget, don't forget how O.J. did it too. But the way that Michael Jordan did it on that global scale, it was unprecedented. And so it created and changed the way that we see and perceive sports stars. Like, no one's done it like him, never did it like him before, and will ever do it like him exactly. And even those who have kind of matched him, he is the foundation and the blueprint of the ultimate sports superstar. So I have to give it to him. He will always be the GOAT to me. LeBron is a great man, and he is the greatest of our current millennial generation. But Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time in basketball. I don't care about the stats and numbers. It's more than that. You have to see it to believe it. And I'm going to throw a little bit more shade. If you look at the kind of people and the athletes that Michael Jordan was going against back then compared to now, I'm just saying. But LeBron is great, and LeBron has won different rings and different teams. I'll never take it from him, but y'all just can't take away Michael Jordan to me. MJ as the superstar, that's just, I'm just going to say that, okay? Just say that. I'm just going to say that and leave it on the table. But back to my larger point about representation. Seeing the Power Rangers, seeing the WWF players, seeing The Rock when he was a wrestler. Listen, if your girlfriend don't remember The Rock when he was a wrestler, she's too young for you. Okay? If they didn't see The Rock doing the SmackDown, then she's too young for you. Some of y'all out here, no shade, but if you're an older man and bae or whomever, male or female, did not see The Rock choke slam somebody or give them the smackdown, then they too young for you. Just saying. But anyway, yeah, that was a moment. That was a moment. Seeing them win titles, seeing them be cocky and talk shit and whoop ass and get wrestling titles and belts. That was a moment. To see the Black Power Ranger, like the fact that my Halloween costume growing up, like, that was a thing. Like, that felt like something. Like, and let me tell you, representation was so limited with especially Black characters on TV, is that we always grew up. Pocahontas was Native American, and even we could talk about Pocahontas' flaws, the Disney version of Pocahontas. But because there was like no Black representation in Disney movies that were human, because there were vocals, right? We did know Lion King was always viewed in my family, in my circle, as like a Black Disney anime film. Like, we always saw The Lion King as a Black anime film because it was set in Africa. Whoopi Goldberg, you had Black voiceover characters and actors. So there always felt like a connection there. But even the same with Pocahontas, like, the natives, they were copper skinned. They weren't Black, but we just always claimed her as Black, even though we knew she wasn't. Because, like, if you look at the Barbie dolls and the figures, she had copper skin. So we took it as one of our own. Now, in The Hunchback of Notre Dame with Esmeralda, they were like, she was a gypsy. We always looked at Esmeralda as Black. And that was the closest Black princess we had outside of Pocahontas, even though Pocahontas was Native American. She was indigenous. So it's very interesting how representation shaped our viewpoints at that point. I mean, Disney, right? All of our favorite Black actors that were not acting, right? They were voiced as characters. So, like, when you think about Mulan, Eddie Murphy was the dragon in Mulan. Eddie Murphy was a lot of voice characters back then. He was Donkey and Shrek, backstabber. But we didn't have that. And I think that's why Prince of Egypt, we was all over Prince of Egypt, because Prince of Egypt took that risk to give us some darker skinned characters to a certain extent that were not white. And that meant something to us as a film. So, and again, another day, another time. But representation, in that sense, mattered to us. We had little of it when we was little. And so we some of those characters were problematic, right? But that was what we had. Now kids have a lot more, a lot more. Still needs more, okay? But there's a lot more. And so there's power there. So all I'm saying is that Halle Bailey is going to do great. And it's going to do well at the box office because Disney is going to do it. And I can't wait to see all the beautiful dolls. I can't, hopefully they'll have an Ariel with the seashell, locks with the locks in it. Like, I just cannot wait to see the enthusiasm. There's tons of TikTok videos of young black girls excited to see Ariel. And I can't wait for it. I can't wait to see the excitement. I think the film will do great, and the haters are going to hate, and they're going to do what they're going to do. But let's get to another interesting controversy now about representation in the conversation. So, The Woman King came out the box office. It did phenomenal. Okay. 19 million at the opening. Got a Cinemark score. It did well. It actually got a cinema score of A+, which is rare. Okay. Gina Prince Bythewood, who directed Beyond the Lights and Love and Basketball, okay, became the second black woman in U.S. history to ever have a film debut at #1 in the U.S. box office. Okay? Yes. Now, let's put this in perspective. Jordan Peele has more movies that have debuted at the box office at #1 than black women in film. The last person to achieve this was the director of Candyman. She was the first black woman last year when the Candyman live action did well. She, did wonderful. The woman who directed that film is Nia DaCosta. Nia DaCosta is a black woman. She directed the film. Jordan Peele wrote the script. This is Candyman, a 2021 film. Nia DaCosta was the first black woman to ever have a film debut at #1 at the box office. Now, granted, Ava DuVernay, she was close with Selma, but Nia DaCosta did it with Candyman, which came out last year. That was the live action version, the remake of Candyman, and that debuted at #1. Now here we are a year later, and history has been made again with Gina Prince Bythewood doing the same thing with Woman King. And this is the first black, and let me tell you why this is also special. Because Woman King, unlike Candyman, and there's no shade to Candyman. Candyman was a black lead, black film cast with black actors. So it did really well. It was a beautiful black film. But Woman King was a black female-centric film directed by a black woman. And with a black female lead. And leads. John Boyega was in it, but leads. Viola Davis was in it and several others. It was incredible. It was incredible. The white people in the film were the villains. The only one that was in between was the mixed-race actor who was in the film, who was playing the love interest. I don't want to tell the movie. I won't tell the movie. I will not tell the movie. But if you haven't seen it, you need to go see it. It's incredible. It's worth every dime. Go see the #1 movie in America right now, which is directed by a black woman with a black female lead. It is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. It was an action film where everybody in the audience was celebrating colonizers getting their ass beat by black women. I just never seen anything like it. It's fascinating and emotional. Me and Amanda went, and Amanda is an emotional friend, which is good. This is healthy, just human emotions. But we were both crying at one scene. I won't tell you the scene, but I cried. We both cried. It took us out. But it was different. It's not a slavery film. Like, it is about, well, let me take that back. There is elements of slavery in the conversation, but I haven't seen a movie like this with this much nuanced perspective around slavery. They get into slavery in a very unique way that I have not seen in film. And the way that they characterize and discuss it and tackle it, it's just really good. And they talk about the Dahomey tribes, right? The Dahomey tribe, which was this woman tribe that was led. It's very fascinating, very good film. Now, there has been some blowback from the ADOS group, ADOS, African Descendants of Slavery, African American Descendants of Slavery. These are individuals who feel like, and I'm going to discuss it, I don't endorse the methods and the metrics of ADOS, okay? Now, this is a Twitter quote of ADOS, African American Descendants of Slavery. Now, I am an African American descendant of slavery, okay? But I don't support this movement on Twitter because it has become very xenophobic, very anti-Black, very homophobic, very misogynistic. The methods they've done are very problematic. It's just disgusting how they've gone about this diaspora. And then what happens is it gets into diasporic debates, right? About and we'll get to what they do. So let me inform you all if you don't know about this group. So they have an issue with this film because they're saying that Woman King is basically well, let me get into who they are first, because if I don't get to who they are first, then I can't tell you why what they're doing and what is connected. So ADOS believes basically that the focus of reparations and the conversations around that in America the priority should be Black enslaved descendants. That when we talk about Black people overall and discuss the diaspora, we erase the fact that other Black people are fine. It was us that suffered through slavery, and that those who were in the habits of slavery, especially those that American born, should be prioritized in society and be given proper representation, because they view other Blacks from other parts of the world as not being beneficiaries, not being those of the most impacted. That's what they're saying. I'm not defending it. I'm just letting you know the education about what their thoughts process is. You can see some logical flaws in your head right now, but I'm just telling you what they're thinking. So a lot of them are focused on the fact that they are very big on the conversation being about Black Americans, because we were the ones who built this country and we were the ones that impacted. So when they hear about diaspora connections and celebrations, they're like, who cares about what's happening over there, because these people are not here. That's what I'm hearing. Some of the critiques. Now, these critiques have manifested in arguments about the fact that they view continental Black Africans who are immigrants here as being anti-Black, which there are some, fair critique to some of those situations, and that their success is a byproduct of them being model minorities and them, having financial support from their native homeland compared to Black Americans who have inherited a flawed injustice system, that they did not leave their country to come here. They were voted here and not given the proper resources to make the decision to be, immigrants here. And so they speak to the division amongst different groups, different Black people from different parts. So they want to censor that. One of their other critiques, which is also an interesting critique, is that the fact that a lot of Black roles in America, like Hollywood film roles, are often occupied by British Africans and non-descendants of slavery. So, for example, in Harriet Tubman was a Black American. She was she was actually a slave. She was played by Cynthia Erivo, who is British. And Cynthia Erivo, apparently a British Black. She also has played other roles that people have found controversial. Like she played Aretha Franklin. She's played in, that was the Aretha Franklin biopic called Genius. She's also played in The Color Purple, which was a Black American author talking about Black American women. So they're saying that she's occupied a lot of roles that should have went to Black women, American women, versus her. And so they're saying that in Hollywood has been giving Black. And there's a lot of roles. Like my husband, Mr. Johnson, loves the show called All American. Now the lead actor, who's a Black actor, he's dark Black. He plays a Black character from Crenshaw. However, the actor playing the role is actually British. The same conversation was said about Daniel Kaluuya. Daniel Kaluuya is a Black British actor, but he's played Fred Hampton. And then there's, of course, other roles that are happening where Black British actors are playing, Black American roles and taking up space and opportunities from Black American actors. There is a conversation to be had there, like a David Olumje or whatever, David Olumje or whatever. I'm mispronouncing his last name, but he played Malcolm. I mean, he played Martin Luther King Jr. in Selma. and he's a British African, but he's playing. And they change their accents, okay? Like Kate Winslet. Kate Winslet's British, but Kate Winslet can switch an accent. There's some critiques there, right? That they're saying that British black actors are taking up American roles. And there could be some real conversations to be had about identity in that way, or the critique that way. However, what's happening has been extreme xenophobia, targeting, harassing, any critiques, anything. I mean, conversations that are speaking against people that are interracial, one drop rule critiques, all types of coloristic tropes. It's a lot of other damaging problems. So now the new critique has been aimed at boycotting Woman King, because the argument is that, the Tohono tribe were enslavers, and they're making these people, look like they're good people, but they also played a role in enslaving other blacks, which does get discussed in the film, but just says that, hey, why are we, glorifying them? They enslaved our people. We shouldn't be supporting this as black Americans, supporting the Woman King and that stuff. Now, as much as I am here for educational intellectual critique, why do we still use films or act like films are supposed to serve as the leading educational rationale for everything that we do? I'm at a point where realistic historical fiction in the lines that it crosses, or even the reality of it, is that none of these films or biopics are going to be my source of education. Now, there could be the introductions to said education, but at the end of the day, why is everyone acting like these are films? Like, if you tell me that you learned about Malcolm X by watching Spike Lee's Malcolm X, Houston, we have a problem. America, we have a problem. America is a problem. But what are we doing? America has a problem, like Beyonce said. That would be wild to me. And so if people are watching The Woman King as a source of educating themselves about the Tohono tribe and the history of black enslavement and how black tribal leaders partook in enslavement, then by all means, you are subjected to the scrutiny if that's your only source of education, if you don't follow up and read books and do more. The fact that we're having the conversation shows you the power of the film, and that's what film can do, is introduce you to ideas and topics. But to try to act like the film is encouraging or promoting slavery or whatever, it's just kind of weird. And yes, there could be arguments made that, there has been critiques, and I've read them in Atlantic and things that said that, like, maybe they shouldn't frame these individuals as, these liberators of sorts. But at the same time, like, films need heroes, and films are not perfect. And in some ways, when it comes to black acting and black characters, there's more value and power in what The Woman King means for the industry and what it means for representation overall than some people getting caught up in some historical facts and findings and details, especially when it involves black characters, especially when we know that the nature and the context of this could be used to further our education. Black people do this all the time. Black folks know what it means to be inspired by a topic and take it and curate it and carve it out. Like we're gonna do that. But this is just one film, and there's always this burden of expert perfection that we have on black women and black films and black projects than we do our white counterparts. And I'm not saying that white man's glass of water is colder, but it's just very much tiresome that we continue to fall in this cycle of putting these higher expectations on ourselves. So a little bit much like lay off of it. Great film. Go watch it. Go see it. And do your research and read and continue to read. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to never let the film tell you everything you know. If you care to educate yourself more, then please do it. Period. Moving along to other things. So Kanye West briefly have a coat. He has a new school coat. Freudian slip. He has a school that he's calling, I think, Donda Academy. And there's plenty of problems. Kanye West does not read books, he says. Because, people like Kanye West just sit up and listen to white billionaires all day and think that he can educate himself in the world based on that. Clearly, that's what he does. But he doesn't read books. And apparently, the man who doesn't read books, the person that's running the school, leading the school, does not have a background in being a teacher in this school. People are talking about the food there, the conditions there. And he's been doing this for the past year and no one knew. Now, let's be clear. There's been other, important people, celebrities and whatnot that open schools. Will and Jada had a school that opened a couple years ago and it closed. And you can Google this. Basically, it was a Scientology school. They claimed up and down it wasn't, but people argued that basically it was nothing but a Scientology school. And there has been some critiques around that, but they opened this little academy school. Celebrities, stop opening schools. Stop acting like that. Just stop. Support public education. Fund public education. Support these struggling public schools. We do not need the antics. We do not. Creating your own academy, it's giving cultish vibes. But what do I know? I know that next thing I know, y'all be acting like Kanye done saved and educated the rest of the world, and that the rest of us are just haters and blah, 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 blah. So I already know where this is headed. But, what do I know? I say this part. There's been a death in music. Endless violence. Hip hop, man, we're losing these rappers like Pop Smoke. This one hits hard for Philly. P&B Rock was a rapper in Philadelphia. Very, very popular. Very, 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 very Philly. Very, very Philly. He had a song that I used to listen to years ago when I was in college called Selfish. And it was a jam. It was a bop. He has other songs, but that's the one song I remember by him. And it was a bop. And he's just been a very popular Philly rapper, and he's had some interesting charm and stuff. But he was gunned down at a Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles, I believe. Or was it Waffle House? But it was like a Waffle Chicken and Waffles, if I'm mistaken. He was out with his girlfriend, and he was shot down in cold blood and murdered. A lot of people had different thoughts about it. People were blaming the girlfriend, because they said that she had posted a picture out with her boo, which was P&B Rock, and that they were suggesting that signaled that he was there, which signaled people to get after him. I don't believe that. Actually, a video came out that said that there was a video he did with that annoying ass, just DJ Academic, who's not even a DJ, which is, I guess. He did an interview with P&B Rock where he was talking about his surroundings and feeling like he was being chased on and pursued. Other people who were also very ignorant, like Nicki Minaj, which we'll get to her in a minute, she was also, basically blaming the girlfriend, talking about putting out locations and whereabouts. But, the reality is that people try to act like LA is the Wild Wild West. To be honest, if you are super wealthy and famous and you're a rapper and you're out here in the world living with excessive wealth and you're going into neighborhoods that are not necessarily with that wealth and with those experiences, and you're, I'm not saying flashing your jewels, but you're in these areas and you're living with all this wealth, and and there's crime. I mean, you're going to be more susceptible to that. Right? And it's not to say that clearly everybody in the community is gun violent and violent, but just the fact that lifestyle, that very flashy lifestyle, that high profile in the neighborhood, in the hood, mixing and mingling, and that stuff, there are going to be that lifestyle. There's going to be haters in the midst. And there seems to be a lot of that happening. Like, I just feel like every other month I'm hearing of some rapper dying, getting shot, getting gunned down. It's just like an epidemic. And it's a pattern of like hip hop rappers that are engaging and being in the community, being in these spaces. And not community as a community, but like in these types of, the mixing and mingling, the connections with gangs, the tie-ins with these rivals and stuff. It's that culture is very much so prevalent right now, and it's sad. And so I don't blame the girlfriend. The girlfriend, it wasn't her fault. Everybody want to step and say, "Oh, she posted, that's why they got him." It's like, if they were planning to get him, they were going to get him, right? If that was what the intentions were, then that was intentions. We don't know all the details of what happened and what caused it, but I just think that this woman is grieving right now. And rather than showing empathy for herself and her family, trying to target her in this way, it's just irresponsible and tacky. So, my thoughts and prayers go out to his family and to her, and to just this stuff. This just has to stop. Speaking of people that need to stop, Nicki fucking Minaj. Just when you think she couldn't go lower, she goes lower. I just don't understand. She's been out lately threatening to sue bloggers and people who've been putting out false information about her, trying to pull a la carte, Tasha K situation that Cardi B did. And she's been out her way, just making threats and then talking about she has a Jewish lawyer and he's gonna, do X, Y, and Z and just playing to all types of stereotypes, which is also very like anti-Semitic. But I mean, she likes to, make inferences and imply because her lawyer is a Jew and he's gonna do. Yeah, it just those types of references always just get me like turned off. Not that I was ever turned on by her, but just also just like it plays into these ridiculous stereotypes. It's just so fucked up. So anyway, she's been out here threatening that she's gonna sue certain people who's been whatever talking, and I'm just in my mind like the meltdowns on Twitter, speculation about voodoo, just all the ridiculous antics that she's been doing lately. And I'm just like, give it a rest. Give it a fucking rest. Like, at the end of the day, your husband's a sex offender. He's registered as a sex offender. You can deny and take that away from him and try to hide it and throw it away or move him and relocate. But this is what it is, Nikki, that there was a jury of peers that believed that this man raped this woman. And I believe Jennifer Hugh, right? You tried to imply that, according to legitimate sources, that she was white until people found out she was black. Like Jennifer Hugh is a black woman, right? She, she could be mixed race, whatever, to how you ever describe it, but that's a black woman. And this happened in her neighborhood. And her story and what happened to her is just wild. And she's told her story, and she's been fighting against everything. And Nikki just wants to continue to weaponize her quote unquote barbs to fight her battles. No, like the trolling, the doxing. Now there is one woman who was really harassed online, and Nikki, of course, because she critiqued Nikki, the online bullying, mudslinging, and all this. It's like the reason why no one can consider you a legend or respect you because you don't even act like a legend. Like this type of these people are saying little stuff online because you're agitating, and then the logic of we're gonna do critiquing, and then we're gonna tell people to stream something, like to draw streaming or to draw that kind of appeal also creates the friction that exists. So it's a lot of that back and forth fighting that keeps happening, and like I'm just over it. Like I've been over it, but like this level of just debauchery is ridiculous. Meanwhile, Cardi B, her criminal charges that's been happening, she's finally addressed it. She's going to do 15 hours of community service for a situation involved her basically going after two strippers, apparently, that, was connected, allegedly connected to her current husband, Offset. And so there's a lot of emotions, a lot of feelings that was going on, that really pushed the floodgates, for sure. There's a lot. But she is out here donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to public school. She went back to her home school in New York City in the Bronx and donated money to them. She's just keeping her head on tight and also just showing a level of empathy and sympathy and meaningfulness. I mean, people were comparing and went viral how Nicki discussed the situation involving PNB Rock and how Cardi B did. And it was just the tale of two different faves. So it's a lot of people that's out here that's been trying to talk. No. So I just wanted to put this out there before I get into some other news. Thoughts and prayers and consideration and support is going to definitely need to be for Puerto Rico. Hurricane Fiona knocked out power to all of Puerto Rico. Okay. Their forecasters are predicting 25 inches of rain. It is bad out there in Puerto Rico. And I just had a really close friend of mine go down to Puerto Rico for travel. But Hurricane Fiona has now come over there and has knocked out all their power. It's a state of emergency for sure. And I just hope that Biden gives the kind of support and attention to them in Puerto Rico as such that he's given to Ukraine. And I hope that we keep that same energy and make sure these people are safe, because this is just not good. So, in better news, the Emmys, my predictions, some of them were good and some of them were not. I'm upset, but I'm happy. So let me start about what I'm not happy about and then get to what I'm really happy about. So Abbott Elementary, y'all, they should have won Best New Comedy. I don't care about Ted Lasso. I don't give a fuck. Like, Ted Lasso had all the ingredients of a show. It has Apple backing them, it's streaming. But Abbott Elementary was a black written, black drawn out sitcom comedy that resurrected, okay, network television. Because for a long time, streaming platforms was dominating, and they still are, right? But that was just like the show. But Quinta Brunson had said it well, that Abbott was not ready for best comedy. There's still more to go, and that's true. That the show and the series did not have the full-fledged out season like its counterparts. But now with a full out season that goes with a full season, this show better win best comedy next year. Period. I don't care what comes out next year. This better wins, because what's good for the geese is good for the gander. Ted Lasso won 2 years in a row. And it's time for a new show. Abbott better win next year. I think I'm waiting for Abbott. Season 2 premieres on the 22nd. I will be having I have it on DR. Atlanta's back. Queen Sugar's back. All my shows are back. Fall TV watching is about to be lit. So I say all this to say that I look forward to it winning. Now, other news, other things that didn't happen that I was upset about. That was pretty much the main one. But, Quinta Brunson, I would have liked her to win Best Actress. But, Jean Smart won for Hacks. And I get it. Jean Hacks, the show Hacks is good, I guess. Now, that Best Supporting Actress win is bittersweet. This might get to the good. Bittersweet. I wanted Janelle James to win. Y'all know I'm Team Janelle James. She just plays Principal Ava really well. But, next year. But Shirley Ralph won. And remember I told you all, I said this from the very beginning, that I knew that this was going to be between Shirley Ralph and her at the Emmys. And Shirley Ralph won. That campaign did well. But I have to say, talk about the family. Like, everybody in her family, they've been dragging this, but it's been many days of them talking about that win and being super, super hype. It's a win, it's good, but but she, she hasn't won anything ever in her career, really. Anything of this magnitude. She was nominated for a Tony for Best Actress back in the early 80s, 40s. She's been for over 30 years now. I think maybe 40 years since she's been nominated. Dreamgirls was back then. She's done a lot of work. She's been in the game she's been in entertainment for over 40 years. She's no spring chicken. She's been in the game for a while. And she stayed loyal. She's 65. Dreamgirls, the original Broadway cast, it came out in 1981. So it's been 40 years of Dreamgirl. She was the original Dreamgirl. Which means, that's been a minute. 40 years? Dreamgirls came out in 81. So Shirley Ralph back then, she would have been, and she's 65 now, she would have been about 25. About 20. She's like 25 years old when she played Dina. So and she killed it too. The original Dina is great. She was in a battle for Best Actress, and she lost to Jennifer Holliday. Now she was in a battle with Janelle James, and now Janelle James lost to her. So I think Janelle is gonna get it next year. I think that Principal Ava is gonna shake the boat up, and I think she's gonna win next year. But that speech that Shirley Ralph gave at the Emmys was so good, though. And so I could see Emmy voters being like, yo, we love her. Let's just keep giving it to her. But I just think I hope the campaign for Janelle was higher next year. But we all know Quinta, her goal was always to get Shirley Ralph an Emmy. I don't think people expected Janelle to be the breakout star like she was. I think she was gonna be funny, but I don't think people expected her to be the breakout like she was. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. But we gotta see what it's giving. But anything. What other things I liked? Michael Keaton winning. Amanda Seyfried finally winning for her performance in that wow movie. Which I was. I mean, did not like the person that she played, but really happy as she won. She played Elizabeth Holmes in The Dropout. And that performance was incredible. But do not like Elizabeth Holmes at all. She's a horrible person, y'all. Okay? But Michael Keaton playing a dope sick one for his performance. Really good job there. Who else had some big ones? Zendaya. So Zendaya won, won for her performance in Euphoria. The best thing about Euphoria, because Euphoria, I'm happy Euphoria did not win that much. Domingo Coleman won. The black actor Domingo Coleman, who's the black queer, he's a black queer actor. He won for best guest actor, and Zendaya won, and I'm so happy she did. I'm happy Sydney Sweeney did not win a goddamn thing. And y'all remember what was happening with Sydney Sweeney recently, with her mega supporting family. She didn't win for The White Lotus, and she did not win for Euphoria for best supporting actress. Everyone thought that she was. She didn't. Julia Garner, who played in Ozark, won Best Supporting Actress for the third consecutive time for that performance. I thought that she wasn't going to win. I did not see in the cards for her. A lot of people really also wanted Sarah Snook from Succession to win. And talk about a surprising upset, but I saw it happening. But the actor from Squid Games won Best Actor over Jeremy Strong for his role in Succession. Now, if y'all been following awards, that was the SAG Awards, okay? That happened at SAG Awards. The lead actor of Squid Games won there. And I was like, that's interesting. Jeremy Strong should have won. He did not, even though we all thought he was. He didn't. But Succession did win Best Drama, which it should have won. And, of course, Tom won Best Supporting Actor, which I was calling. He pulled it off. He fucking won. I told y'all, Tom's last scene when he was in, and I keep calling him Tom, his name is Matthew McFadden. But let me tell you, when he whispered in her ear and asked her, was everything okay? At the end, and I don't want to spoil it, but that final finale, when he whispered and asked her, is everything okay? And she looked shook like that. We all knew what the fuck that meant. Do we have a problem? Is what it was giving. I was still shook by that. And I said, he better eat. And he won. He finally won. And he's the first supporting actor out the bunch to win. Because there's like 3 guys nominated for supporting actor in that category. It's Kieran Culkin and the other one who plays the loser. That is like his little sidekick or like invisible like love interest, even though they're not together. But all of those characters are phenomenal. Succession is such a good show. But yeah, I'm excited for the next season. I'm ready for season 4. Definitely wait for season 4. Like I said, Greg, Roman, and Tom were all 3 nominated, and Tom finally won out the group. And everybody was saying, "Oh, he wouldn't win because it'll be a crowded race," but no, he pulled it off. Sarah Snook and J.S. Cameron, I would have loved to see them too, but either one of them went Best Supporting Actress. But we'll see. But Jeremy Strong, I just thought he was going to win Best Actor, but it didn't happen. Lizzo for the Big Girls won. Wow, she's halfway through an EGOT. I try not to say that whole halfway through EGOT shit, but it's true. She's got a Grammy. She's got several Grammys. She's got an Emmy now for Lizzo. Watch out for the Big Girls. I'm happy for her winning on these people. Winning. I mean, she won a VMA last month. She's just doing the damn thing. I'm like I said, her music, but I'm happy for her. I think her success and what it means is just everything. Yeah, those are the big wins. I mean, Quinta Brunson winning Best Writing for a Comedy for a Pilot. Wow. Talk about, her pilot episode. won her. It was enough for her to win Best Writing. And she knocked out some major players. So that's not easy to get a pilot of a show. First ever show she's ever written. And her pilot for her first ever show, she's not the same. Look at that for a comedy. So I'm just saying it's interesting, you know. But we'll see. We're gonna see what it's given. Um, Based on everything that's happening. Um, mm-mm-mm. Wow. So much is going on. People are talking about so much, following everything that's happening. I had just got an update about what's going on in Puerto Rico as I'm doing this podcast. Just know that we're going to have to come out in a big way to support Puerto Rico people. Do not sleep on it. And speaking of things that we shouldn't also sleep on, Beyonce, where the fuck is the Renaissance visuals? We have a problem. I have a problem now. Now I feel some type of way. Where are these visuals? Okay, Cuff It has now surpassed, Break My Soul on the charts. People want Cuff It to be the next single, which I agree. Cuff It is like my favorite song off the album. I really, really love Cuff It. And I keep telling y'all, the Cuff It energy, Break My Soul, Triumphant has had a curse on me. I'm addicted. I like all three. I love how it builds up together. It's a beautiful, like, 3-song run. I love it. And Cuff It is a standout song to me. It's a great song. You can play it at parties, weddings. It's like the more upscale, funky, Love on Top. It gives me that. Whatever you get from Love on Top is what Cuff It gives to me. Can you see it that way? I see it that way. I see it like a Love on Top type of energy. But a little bit more fun and spicy and with a little bit more flair. But I love it. But anyway, these visuals, maybe she took a break. Maybe she just said, you know what, y'all got what y'all got. Or maybe she's just waiting long enough for whatever it is, she's got to figure it out, because Taylor Swift is about to drop her next album, Midnights, okay, October 21st, which is, I guess, still part of Libra season at the cusp, but we love it. I cannot wait for it. I'm looking forward to the new Taylor Swift album, 13 tracks or whatever. But what the fuck, girl? Get it together. Just get it together. Just whatever. Like, you just gave up on this album. You just said, okay, we're dropping it for the summer, and now I went away. Apparently, there is some songwriters that are saying her next album have song titles, and they know the credits, but they don't have the lyrics or anything like that. Apparently, they don't know the song titles, or they do, because you have to get them processed, but they don't put the lyrics to the music. And apparently people have been following that, but apparently the next act 2 and the next set of songs have already been revealed. Not officially from Beyonce's camp, but apparently from ASCAP, which is like when you get songs to get registered and trademarked and all that kind of stuff. So there is something that seems like it might be on the horizon. We'll see. So people have been asking about movies. Movie festivals have been happening. I've been following the movies. I've been seeing screeners. I get to see the little movies before they come out and get I'm a part of film Twitter. You know how that goes. But I want to tell y'all some upcoming stuff to look forward to with films, because people ask about the movies that are coming out. So Woman King is out already. Go watch it. It's lovely. It's fabulous. Great fucking incredible movie. But movies that are also coming out. Blonde, okay, which is that Marilyn Monroe biopic of sorts. Let me tell y'all. Mixed reviews. Performance by Ana de Armas is great. I'm hearing good things about the performance. I'm hearing maybe Oscar buzz, maybe. But people just feel some type of way about how the film is done. There's a lot of nudity. There's a lot of just over-the-topness in the film, drugs, sex. It is a lot going on in that film, and they feel like it didn't do Marilyn Monroe justice as a public person. Like that, it was very manipulative, very exploitative, and they just felt like it was just soaking it up a little too much. So that's what I heard. The new Knives Out sequel that also stars, of course, Daniel Craig, but also has a lot of wild cast of actors, including Janelle Monáe. People like it. They say it's better than the first one. And I thought the first Knives Out was pretty good, but they say this was better. The sequel is way better, and people are really in love with it. So I heard good things on that front. The other film that I heard is called The Sun with Hugh Jackman, whose birthday is on the same day as mine. We share birthday as Libras. Heard it's not good. Everyone thought this was going to be a Hugh Jackman Oscar-nominated film. All these major stars are in it. Laura Dern and Anthony Hopkins makes an appearance. All these appearances. Apparently, it's not good at all. So, take that for what it's worth. The Whale. Brendan Fraser is playing a 600-pound man. I think maybe 600 pounds if I got that right. Darren Aronofsky is directing the film. He directed one of my favorite films of all time, Black Swan. So anytime he does a film, it's supposed to be good. Apparently, the film is very interesting. A lot of people are saying Brendan Fraser might get an Oscar. He's, in my book, the front runner of Best Actor. So if Brendan Fraser wins Best Actor, remember this conversation. But people are having feelings about it because of the fact that he's wearing a fat suit and, you know, he's not the weight of the character he's playing. So people are just, you know, are talking about how the film, they're tired of films portraying characters who are overweight and whatnot. Why can't you just hire a plus size actor to play certain roles? Why, or how, you know, people are portrayed in film of size. That is something that has been discussed on social media, but we'll see how the public reviews it and feels about at large. But that is also down the turnpike. And then there's a film coming out at the end of the year and starting in January called Babylon with Margot Robbie, which has been nominated for Oscar before. She played in I, Tonya, which was incredible. But she's playing in this lead role in this film that's set in Hollywood. You know, Hollywood loves itself. Drugs, sex in Hollywood, 1930s appears. It's lots of cameos in the film. Tobey Maguire from Spider-Man is in it. It's written by Damien Chazelle, who also directed Whiplash and that film called La La Land. So he's got some Oscar buzz. There's a lot of big Oscar buzz about Babylon. And apparently they're saying that Margot Robbie is going to get an Oscar nomination, or this could be her Oscar-winning film. We'll find out. But a lot of people are saying that this is a big deal for her. The trailer came out. Very spicy trailer. Don't really know what the hell the movie's about, but it's spicy and it looks good, looks flashy, looks like it's worth watching. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye on it when I watch it. And then last but not least, before I get into Oscar season preview, because really Oscar season is on its way, y'all. It's coming. Is The Fabelmans by Steven Spielberg, directed by Steven Spielberg. Heard good things. People really like The Fabelmans. It's about his life. It's about Steven Spielberg's life and about his love of film and his family. And everyone's been buzzing a lot about whether or not they're predicting that the lead role, they don't know if it's a lead role. That's, this could be Oscar hijacking, I guess, which is when they take a character that's supposed to be a lead role into a regular role. We've seen this happen before. They call it genre category cheating or category fraud. And I'll get to it. So Michelle Williams is in this role. She plays Steven Spielberg's mother in the film, and people are saying that she could be getting the Oscar for Best Lead Actress potentially. But then everyone's also talking about Margot Robbie in Babylon. So right now there's two conversations happening at the same time. Now they're saying that possibly she might go into a supporting category, and if she gets in the supporting category, she's going to guarantee win. Now, remember category fraud happened a couple years ago with the movie Fences. Viola Davis and Denzel Washington played their roles on Broadway, and both won lead actor and actress on Broadway. Viola Davis being the second woman after Felicia Rashad to win Best Lead Actress in a play. Not musical, because there's been plenty of black women who's won in musicals, but a play. Okay, she was the first black actress. Felicia Rashad did for Raising the Sun. Viola Davis was the second for her role in Fences, the August Wilson play. That also won a Pulitzer Prize. Big fucking deal. So the late great August Wilson is incredible. Love August Wilson, an incredible man, and what an incredible life he lived. Well, Viola Davis, played in that role. And she was slated to people to be Best Lead Actress alongside Denzel Washington. But there was buzz that Emma Stone was going to win for La La Land for Best Lead Actress, which she ended up doing. And that they felt like Viola Davis needed an Oscar, because she did. And she still needs more. But that to get her an Oscar if she was in the supporting actress category, she would be a lock-in. And that they were going to put Denzel in lead actor because clearly he was, a lead actor. So somebody had a lead. So they said, you know what, Denzel will be the lead. It's centered on Denzel. And Viola Davis, in my opinion, was also lead too. She really was a lead. But they said, we could put her in supporting and make the case for that. So Denzel got nominated, one as SAG, one supporting lead actor. Best lead actor as SAG. But everybody already knew that Casey Affleck for Manchester to Sea, which also features supporting actress Michelle Williams, who was nominated for her role, that was a lock-in, and it eventually was. Even though there were allegations, during the Me Too part, there was allegations about Casey Affleck that cannot be ignored. But he ended up winning. The Academy didn't care, and they gave it to him. I never forget seeing Denzel with teary eyes. They said he wasn't crying, but go back and look at Casey Affleck's speech, and when they called it, and look at Denzel sitting in that chair, I feel like he was definitely a little teary crying, because we really want Denzel to get that third Oscar. And I don't know what it's going to take for Denzel to get that third Oscar, but we need to get Denzel that third Oscar, okay? Because look, Daniel Day-Lewis got 3 Oscars. Okay, Jack Nicholson got 3. We need Denzel to have 3, okay? So that campaign needs to happen. The same way we made sure Meryl Streep got her 3rd Oscar. Okay, we need Denzel to get the 3rd. But speaking of Oscars, we need Viola Davis to get that lead actress Oscar. I don't know what film it's going to take, but we need her to get one. Now, what happened with category there? They put Viola Davis in the supporting, and that's how she got it. Rumor has it that they're going to probably put Michelle Williams in the supporting category to lock in her win. If she gets in the supporting category, she's winning it all. Lead is a little risky for her because there's some other people that people are looking at and we don't know yet. She might be able to pull it off, but people really think Babylon's overall energy could. But it's a Steven Spielberg directed film. Fabelmans might be good for her, but listen, do you want to roll the dice or do you want to be guaranteed to win? So it's a lot there on the line. So we'll see. But there's also some speculation about some other actors in supporting. I'm hearing people really want Angela Bassett to try to get an Oscar. Wakanda Forever is looking like she could potentially be considered. There's a lot of different things spinning. If you've seen the Wakanda Forever trailer, a lot of people are saying that there's a lot of Angela Bassett presence in that trailer to suggest that she might be trying to get awards contender. See, I look at the politics of film and I'm all into Oscar stuff. Oscar wins are not always based on what should win. It's about how, why, and the politics of it. And on my podcast, sometimes we get to talk about it. So we'll see. We'll see what it's giving. But I'm keeping my eyes closed. This is now an Oscar watch season for starters and for sure. But, this week ahead, everybody, is going to be one for the books. There's a lot going on around us. History going to be made. History is going to be, maybe delayed in some cases, depending on politics. But so much is happening. And, as always on this podcast, I try to keep you all afloat, especially with everything I got going on. I got some cool stuff coming, as always. But, as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.